these two players.
In the bottom right spawn location, we have our green Zerg player playing for Team Dignitas. It is dTefel. And in the top left spawn location, spawning as the blue Zerg, we have his opponent, Fnatic MiniRaser.
So, a ZVZ, a very interesting matchup. You can get a lot of very risky stuff going on. You can get a lot of aggressive early plays, Ling-Baneling, stuff like that. But in these cross-spawn positions, the rush distance is massive, Penguin.
It really is. I haven't had that much experience on this map myself so far. I haven't been able to play too much, as I've been kind of on vacation for a bit. But I am looking forward to seeing just how this plays out. I played a couple games on the new maps just before heading on out, before the release of the new map. So thus far, this map seems to be fairly conducive to map games. A lot of expansions. It's relatively easy to defend your natural and ZVZ especially, so should be a relatively standard game, I would assume, for these two guys. And thus far, we do have pretty standard openings coming out from MiniRaser, but we do actually have dTefel going pool, then gas, so a relatively early gas opening here from our green player.
And this is something you often see from dTefel. He is a very big advocate of getting down that early speed to get map control, and he actually does it across all the matchups because, to be honest, dTefel is not your typical Zerg player. He doesn't want to sit back and only drone up. He likes to be active, likes to try and get more damage down, if at all possible, just to try and really work his opponent down and not allow them to be too greedy.
Very, very true. You see MiniRaser adding on his own gas now, and it's early enough that it shouldn't really make too much of a difference here. He's going to be more on the defensive, most likely here, as dTefel with that earlier gas is going to have speed up earlier, and he'll be able to pressure earlier as a result. But thus far, everything's just looking pretty standard. We're just going to be waiting to see. Most importantly is going to be whether or not dTefel pulls off of gas now that he's getting close to 100. It looks like he is going to do that.
And now this is a really important thing to note. He's keeping no drones in gas. That means things like Lair aren't going to be coming down quickly. It opens up the possibility of a lot of speedlings early on, but it's no guarantee either. MiniRaser has to just be slightly cautious about what's coming through, and hoping that nothing too terrible is going to happen.
Yeah, basically, MiniRaser should be able to defend this here with his own gas relatively simply. He's only getting speed now, so he's going to be behind by about 30 seconds there. And he's keeping on gas, so he should be able to get a Baneling nest up before things become too dicey here. So, overall, MiniRaser's build is panning out very, very well against what dTefel is doing. Thus far, he's actually not ahead in drones, but he will be as soon as he's more. Actually, no, he's going to be behind drones, so... surprisingly, dTefel actually has more drones spiking earlier gas. So I guess that comes also from the fact that he took a pull of gas or MiniRaser stayed in.
He went for a really big pull of, a big wave of drones actually. So he hasn't actually got any Lings out, despite having speed nearly done. These first 8 Lings, if I'm not mistaken, are actually the first ones dTefel has so far made this game. Going up to 16, this is a big investment, but as you rightly pointed out, Penguin, the Baneling nest, that is already on its way out for MiniRaser.
Another thing to note is that we did see that dTefel was able to pick up 2 scouting Lings of MiniRaser before they scouted anything. So MiniRaser doesn't know this is coming until right now, when this overlord sees the Lings starting to move across the map here. More and more Lings in production, so Baneling Nest coming on down dTefel, and he really wants to lay down the hurt right here. Baneling Nest here for MiniRaser is going to be completing now. The Lings are almost at his base. So, the Lings could engage him before the Banelings are done. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go straight to that Queen. Really nice positioning on the Queen there from MiniRaser to be able to maximize his defensive capabilities, but that is going to go down. We'll be able to see these 2 Banelings and hopefully split it a little low. So far, actually, one of the Banelings getting pretty low, and thus far, this is a very well executed attack from dTefel.
1 Baneling detonation, but only 2 Zerglings taken out there, so nice control coming down from the Dignitas player. MiniRaser, though, has a few more Banelings, and dTefel should be forced to retreat, at least until he's got his own Banelings to engage with. But remember, defender's advantage, pretty substantial, especially with that Spine Crawler in position.
Yeah, for sure. The Spine's going to add so much to this defense. There's only a couple of Banelings here, as you pointed out. 2 more about to spawn, though, and this Baneling does actually get focused down by that Spine, so very nice controller by MiniRaser, as the Queen that just popped is going to be focused on down, but no, there's not enough there for dTefel to push on through. dTefel behind is not droning. He's just continuing. There we go, 9 drones in production now. So he is going to try to macro out of this, but he is going to be at a drone deficit for now. overall, 33 drones still on the field here for MiniRaser. We have a couple trying to poke on it once again. The Bailing's trying to connect over the drones. Only one drone should go down to this, but there's still a lot of Zerglings here for our dTefel player.
And dTefel just really wanting to end out this game, or at least put on a huge amount of pressure. But the trouble for him is only now has he retaken the drone lead. This is dTefel's playstyle through and through. Apply a hell of a lot of pressure, not in the real early game, but just kind of after he's got time to get out a little bit of tech, apply that pressure heavily, and then behind that drone up hard. So he gets ahead in the mid-game, and that's precisely what he's done. And he's conserved most of his units, so he can keep that pressure applied.
Yeah, for sure. He does still have a total of 18 Zerglings, 2 Banelings on the field. He is posturing aggressively with these, even morphing in a couple more Banelings offensively, forcing MiniRaser to get a couple out himself. Lair timings are very, very similar here. Just about 6 seconds between the two of them. It is in MiniRaser's favor, but those 6 seconds are not really going to make any difference whatsoever. The Queen's going to try to, actually tanking 2 Baneling shots there, getting a third one too. That was a bit sloppy there by dTefel for once, and MiniRaser, he does have actually a fairly substantial lead in the resources lost. He's lost about 200 less than his opponent so far.
Okay, but let's look on the bright side. dTefel and MiniRaser are both very similar to actually their lair timings. Both players getting down their spires. Slight advantage for MiniRaser's timing though. But look at the drone count, Penguin. 56 to 47. This is a long time that dTefel has had that worker lead.
Yeah, and he's going to be increasing that more for the time being, as actually MiniRaser opting to go more for a couple of lings. dTefel with a nice focus down to the drone is going to be able to deny the third base, but these Zerglings of his are just sort of pincered in here. They're going to have to try to trade as well as possible, but they should not get out with their lives if MiniRaser's on top of things. This is going to be pretty good for MiniRaser here, as he will be able to establish the third. The third base here for dTefel going to be significantly earlier. So, if dTefel can maintain this third, the gas income is going to be absolutely ridiculous, and he will be able to take a significant Muta lead, but there's a lot of lings coming on in.
Okay, this was a quick Zergling production coming out from dTefel, because he really does not have enough on the field unless he gets some amazing Baneling hits very soon. That third base, though, as you said, essential. If it gets down, actually, dTefel's in an amazing position.
And a couple of Baneling detonations there, trading 2 for 1 for MiniRaser there, and as a result, he doesn't have enough Banelings to push on through, which means that, in fact, dTefel will be able to establish his third base significantly earlier, and he's already looking to have a Muta lead, with 10 coming out compared to the 8 of his opponent.
So, a few Banelings morphing in now for MiniRaser as well. This is really long. It's a very long stage of this Ling on Bling action, and Zergling Baneling is very micro-intensive. It's tiring to play. But a couple of hits coming through. MiniRaser seems to have the advantage, especially after that very nice Baneling hit. And now continues pushing forward. But Mutas.
Yeah, the Mutas are out. This isn't really such a big tell here either, because MiniRaser's already gone Mutas himself. And basically what's going to happen from here is that these two players are both essentially going to be forced into making a lot of Mutas. Nice moves here from MiniRaser to be able to supply block dTefel a bit, but MiniRaser also getting supply blocked. And this is basically where the Mutas are just going to clean up those Overlords, and not too much should be produced for the next little while until the Overlords can be replaced. Both players doing pretty well so far. Ooh, the Muta's coming on in here for MiniRaser, trying to pick off one Muta of dTefel, but the focus fire not quite good enough. And thus far, the Muta count's still very, very, actually pretty heavily in Dignitas dTefel's favor here. Already a 5 Muta lead.
What's really interesting though, neither player actually going for upgrades until now. dTefel opting for the +1 air weapons, and I'm going to hand over to you, Penguin, as the Zerg expert. Why +1 attack when 9 times out of 10?
I don't like this. +1 attack is usually what you get when you're not entirely sure what your opponent is doing. Because +1 attack is okay against Mutas, and it's good against, it's obviously better against ground-based compositions than the armor is. So, if you're not entirely sure if they're going Mutas, you'll usually go attack. But we see dTefel doing that despite knowing full well that MiniRaser's on Mutas, and I'm not entirely sure that I approve of that.
Oh, we've got a big push though, actually into the third base of MiniRaser now. This is a large number of Zerglings. It's going to do some nice damage, especially with the Mutalisks for dTefel now coming through, but he's tanking up those Spore Crawler hits.
Oh, and he's not focusing the Spore. He's going to lose an additional couple of Mutas that he really didn't need to here. The Mutalisks of MiniRaser are also posturing aggressively, but not doing anywhere near as much damage as the ones of dTefel. The third base here for MiniRaser should be about to fall. And, well, with this Spine Crawler and a Spore Crawler up at the third, dTefel's going to have a hard time, MiniRaser's going to have a hard time breaking that. But we do have him posturing aggressively, picking off some Mutas that are coming on out. Really supply blocking dTefel hard. Taking a look at the Muta count here, 16 to 19, 20 to 16 now, and while dTefel still has a lead, We do have a couple being picked off here, and that's really, really nice play here from MiniRaser.
Both players sitting at 20 Mutalisks at this stage. But on the ground, there's 43 Lings. If they can get in a good position for MiniRaser, he's going to be able to tank up a lot of those bouncing glaive hits. However, +1 is soon going to be active for TeFel's Mutalisks.
Yeah, that's going to be a lead, but again, it's not as significant a lead as if he'd been going for the Carapace upgrade. And TeFel really panicking here. 12 Overlords were in production for a second, but he is going to be able to chase off MiniRaser's Mutas, getting a pretty nice little engagement there, as MiniRaser does actually have a Muta lead at this point, but not all the Mutas are actually in the same place here, so he can't quite engage the ball of TeFel. In comes MiniRaser to the natural here. There's not really much to defend against these Zerglings here, and thus far, this looks like it's going to go pretty well. The Muta's coming in for TeFel to try to clean this on up. The drone's being forced to be pulled back to the main. Some of them should go down. Going after the Spire, I'm not sure if that's really the best decision. You will definitely not get that, but we do have the Mutalists of MiniRaser moving on into the third base here, and MiniRaser, while he's not going to be able to do too much there, these Overlords are rallied into the middle of the map, Maddles.
What are they doing?
He finds these.
There's so many Mutas, they could annihilate them. The Zerglings may actually draw them over. They seize a lot of Overlords. Jackpot. This is better than Christmas. This is like winning the jackpot at the casino.
Yeah. This is disastrous. This is absolutely disastrous. We've seen TeFel, can you check how many Overlords have died?
This game, there have been, wow, 36
Overlords have died, and he's killing more! This is ridiculous!
I've never seen so many Overlords die in a match, I don't think.
Yeah. How many are we at now? Like, this is just...
That must be 40, yeah.
Wow. And 4 more about to die, too. This is obscene, and at this point, TeFel can't afford this. We have a couple more Lings coming on into the natural here, gonna be able to pick off even more stuff, and MiniRaser, like, he's in this position where he's in a pretty good spot already, but TeFel just can't make anything. So MiniRaser's just gonna get further and further ahead, despite TeFel still having that third base up.
My maths isn't quick off the top of my head, but 7 Overlords is not actually even gonna unsupply block TeFel, is it? It may just.
He's queuing up a couple more. There's still a couple pretty vulnerable. Ooh, a Baneling run by here. Not going to be able to do too much, but a cute decision, a cute move there by MiniRaser. He has a lead. He can afford to take risks like that. Fourth base coming on up for MiniRaser as well. And finally, we see TeFel back into the white, but an Overlord dies. So, no, he's back into the red. But there we go. Finally, he can continue to make things. At this point, I think MiniRaser's just having fun going after Overlords.
The thing is, it's a viable strategy when you've got your opponent's supply block, because MiniRaser has been able to achieve actually a couple of minutes in game where he has been producing stuff and TeFel has been unable to. That's frustrating for TeFel, but look at the supply counts. And oh no, TeFel now losing a couple of Mutas. 3 went down there for nothing. That's, again, another subpar trade that MiniRaser is going to be ecstatic about.
MiniRaser's up 11, now 13 Mutalisks at this point. This is just getting very out of hand here. With the additional gases coming down to the fourth base here for MiniRaser, basically TeFel's been on the back foot for a long time now. He's still on the back foot. He needs to make something amazing happen. And I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be, because MiniRaser is posturing so aggressively with these Mutas. He's always there. TeFel has to be at home to make sure that he can't actually take more damage. And now the Spore just one-shotted down here. A couple of drones going down with the Glaives. TeFel's going to try to take an engagement, but I don't actually think he can fight here. He does have the upgrade lead.
Well, he's going to go for it. He's got 1-1 up against 1-0, but the number heavily in MiniRaser's favor. This is going to be a very close fight, but MiniRaser, he's got it. Definitely now. Up by 6 Mutalisks is a huge number in this trade, and TeFel is going to have no choice but to GG out. MiniRaser brings that game back full circle in order to take the first game in this best of 3.